What's up, dentists? Welcome to the very first video of this training. If you're watching this video, it means that you are looking to really ramp up your practice with the eventual goal of selling it. Now, if you haven't thought about selling your practice, you might want to start thinking about it now. We are at a very, very interesting point in time where corporate dentistry and corporate consolidation are happening really, really quick. And if you don't think about how to strategically set up your business, you could be leaving hundreds of thousands, possibly even millions of dollars on the table. Don't believe me that corporate dentistry is making a huge impact on the market? Already in America, at the time I'm filming this video, 40% of practices are owned or have corporate interest. In Canada, that number is 2% and rising. So why are corporations or corporate dental practices able to make so much more money than mom and pop shops? Well, what it all comes down to is something called corporate consolidation, economies of scale, and buying power. Basically, corporate dental practices can go to equipment manufacturers, supply companies, labs, you name it, and say, hey, we're gonna bring you tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars in business if you give us a big discount. And so they're able to negotiate these deals where they're getting 5%, 10%, 20% off each item of their income statement. And at the end of the day, that's adding 25, 30, 40% additional profit. So why don't we look at an income statement for a mom and pop dental shop and a corporate practice and see how they're different. So let's look at a typical privately owned dental practice with one dentist who is the lead dentist and a hygiene department that does 25% of the revenue. So let's just start to keep the number simple. Let's say it's a $1 million practice. Wages are 25%, so $250,000. Supplies are 10% at $100,000. Lab fees are 10% as well, $100,000. Marketing is 5%, $50,000. CE credits are $40,000. Admin fees are $60,000. And miscellaneous fees are $80,000. On a $1 million in revenue or production, expenses will be $780,000. So that means that the profit is $220,000, 22%, and that's what the dentist takes home. Now, numbers might be a little bit better, a little bit worse, but for the most part, that's a pretty standard profit loss statement for a dentist. Now, let's take a look at how this changes at the corporate level. So let's say the corporate level can run their wages at 19% or 190,000 and save a couple bucks there. Now they're gonna be able to do this by having better training, better job descriptions, and they're gonna be able to get more out of fewer employees because they have all of the systems and the processes and the procedures in place. So they're gonna save some money there. Now imagine if their supplies run at 5% or $50,000 because they have better relationships and more negotiating power. Now let's say the lab fees cut down to 7% or $70,000. Let's say they have in-house marketing or relationships with marketers and they're able to cut that down to 3% or $30,000. Rent will just keep it the same, it's $100,000. CE credits will keep the same at $40,000. Let's say we're able to cut down admin fees to $30,000 because they have people at the corporate office doing some of the admin stuff. And then let's just say they're able to cut down on some of the miscellaneous expenses because they have better processes, better systems, better operations, and better support staff at the corporate level, which they don't have to pay for. So let's say they get those cut down to $60,000. Now, even though we only improved a bunch of the expenses by a few percentage points, when you add everything up, this would result in costs of $570,000. So the mom and pop shop spent $780,000 and the corporate dental office spent $570,000. Now what's different is in the corporate dental model, they still have to pay the associate dentist or the lead dentist. So let's take 40% associate fee off of $750,000 worth of dental production. Remember, the other $250,000 was part of the hygiene department, and 40% of $750,000 is $300,000. So in the corporate dental model, the dentist, the lead dentist, took home $300,000. In the small biz or the mom and pop dental office, the lead dentist took home $220,000. So the corporate practices have found a way to buy practices off of dentist owners where the dentist owner will make more money, have less stress, and have more time, and the practice will still make a ton of money because of all of the operational efficiencies and buying power they're adding into the dental practice. This is a win-win situation for both parties. As the dentist or as the owner of a dental practice, you have to start thinking about a couple things. One is, when do you want to sell your practice? And two is, for how much money would you like to sell your practice for? Because whether you like it or not, dental corporations will start knocking on your door and trying to buy your practice. And luckily for you, it's a seller's market. Dental corporations know how much money they can make by adding operational efficiencies to your practice, that they are doing everything they can to buy up as many practices as possible. In this training, I'm going to show you how you can systematically grow your business each year and how you can optimize the key metrics so that when it comes time to selling, you get as much money as possible. So when it comes to selling your practice, there are two key questions you have to ask yourself. Firstly, who are the potential buyers? And secondly, what formula and key metrics are used to determine the value of your practice? Let's start with question number one. There are two main types of dental buyers. The first type of buyer is another dentist, so someone who's hoping to buy your revenue and your patient base with the likely transition of you either leaving the practice immediately or within a few years. That's basically your retirement. The second type of buyer is a corporate dental chain or a network dental chain. These buyers are hoping to buy your practice so that they can optimize it, but they want to keep you on as the lead dentist and pay you as an associate. So if you're selling your practice to another dentist, you're probably going to use a price to earnings or a price to revenue ratio. But if you're selling your practice to a corporate dental chain, you're going to want to use an enterprise valuation approach, which is where you determine what your EBITDA is, or your earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization, and then multiply that by a multiple. Now in the dental industry, that multiple can be somewhere around 3 to 5 times if you're a smaller practice, or as 6 or 7 times if you have multiple locations, multiple doctors, and if you've implemented systems and operations for scalability. So remember that mom and pop shop from a couple minutes ago who generated $220,000 in income? Imagine if by developing a brand and optimizing their patient experience, they could increase their revenue without incurring additional expenses. Then imagine they were able to decrease their costs by implementing the right systems, protocols, and operations, and cut down on their expenses by being part of a group and having buying power. Now they've cut down on their costs. So they've increased their revenue, they've decreased their costs, their overall profitability might be closer to $500,000. Now, if that business were to sell their practice, instead of selling for $1 million like they would before, they would be able to sell for $2 million just by virtue of optimizing their profit and loss statement. So simply put, if you want to sell your practice for top dollar, you have to do 3 things. Firstly, you have to increase your revenue. Secondly, you have to decrease your expenses. And thirdly, you have to implement systems and protocols so that your practice is a turnkey operation. In this training, we're going to help you with all 3. To increase your revenue, we're going to start by helping you develop a brand. We want you to stand out and be unique. Then we're going to help you understand the patient experience and optimize it so that your patients are always happy and love you. Our goal is for you to improve your key revenue metrics without spending tons of money on marketing. To help you cut costs, we'll start by giving you access to a variety of training and resources. More importantly, you're now part of our community. And once our community is big enough, we can start going to different vendors and suppliers and start getting some of the same benefits that corporate dental chains get. The last thing we offer is exit consulting and sales brokerage. Over the next few years, we're going to be partnering up with many of the different dental corporations and private equity companies who are looking to invest in the healthcare space. As a member of our community, we'll make sure that you have the visibility and representation that you need to sell your practice for top dollar. Bottom line is, we're hell-bent on helping you generate as much profit as possible and make sure that you sell your practice for as much money as possible when the time comes to the right buyer. So that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we're really looking forward to having you in our community. Coming up, you're gonna learn a little bit about how you can set some goals, and we're also gonna go through the brand development training. After your brand has been established, we're gonna start chipping away at the patient experience education so that you can optimize all of the systems and all of the experience components within your practice. So that's all for this video, and we'll see you in the next lesson.